Okay. Right. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Paribrajaka Ashto Tarasata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sakaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Gangamai Ki Jai Ramanamai Ki Jai Tulsi Dev Ki Jai Bhakti Dev Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Maharaj, and thank you everyone for joining us for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Wednesday, October 19th, 2022 in New York, and we are in the third canto, 9th chapter, Brahma's Prayers for Creative Energy. Tonight we're starting with verse number 12. And so, as always, we're very eager to hear your comments and questions. And also, if you'd like to lead tonight's closing kirtan, please go ahead and do so. We'd love to hear that too. And we're so happy you could join us, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kendra Prabhu, and thank you to all. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nati prasidati tato pachito pacharar aradhita suraganar pridibadha kamai yatsarvabhuta dayaya sadalabhya yaiko nanadraneshva vahita suridantayatma. For a moment. Okay. My Lord, you are not very much satisfied by the worship of the demigods, who arrange for your worship very pompously with various paraphernalia, but who are full of material anchorage. You are situated in everyone's heart as the supersoul, just to show your causeless mercy, but you are unavailable for the non-devotee. Purport. The demigods in the celestial heavenly planets, who are appointed administrators of the material affairs, are also devotees of the Lord. But at the same time, they have desires for material opulence and sense gratification. The Lord is so kind that he awards them all sorts of material happiness, more than they can desire. But he's not satisfied with them because they are not pure devotees. The Lord does not want any one of his innumerable sons, the living entities, to remain in the material world of threefold miseries, to perpetually suffer the material pangs of birth, death, old age, and disease. The demigods in the heavenly planets And many devotees on this planet also want to remain in the material world as devotees of the Lord and take advantage of material happiness. They do so at a risk of falling down to the lower status of existence, and this makes the Lord dissatisfied with them. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadhati Shapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shadrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lolita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Fundo Nina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vansha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhobhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Gaur Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nati prasidati tato pachito pacharar haradita suraganayar tridipanta kamai yas sarva bhuta dayaya sad alabhya yaiko nana janeshva pahita surit antaratma. Na ati prasidati. The Lord is not very satisfied by upachita, upacharar, aradika, suraganayani. By the worship performed by the demigods with all sorts of upacharas, all kinds of paraphernalia, very pompously, Prabhupada said. I think he doesn't mean it in the sense that we often use of being hypocritical or although there is a hint of that, of being showy. But pompously means with great pomp. Prabhupada used the word positively sometimes. The festival should be performed very pompously. It means it should be a good show. So the demigods, they worship the Lord in royal fashion with all sorts of paraphernalia and ceremonies and so on. But the Lord is not very satisfied by their worship. Hridi bhakta kamaye, because they're in their hearts, they have these material desires. And so they're worshiping the Lord in hopes that they can stay as demigods and enjoy while serving the Lord. Or Prabhupada said, even apart from the demigods here on this planet, we may be doing the same thing, worshiping the Lord with the idea that we can have it all. We'll be engaged in pure devotional service, and we'll have sense gratification. So these two goals are there, and two contradictory goals. One is to be engaged in our eternal constitutional position, and the other is to be engaged as enjoyers, which is just the opposite of our constitutional nature. So the Lord accepts the worship, but he's not very satisfied. Na ati prasidati. Prasidati means satisfied, and ati means very. He's not very satisfied. The Lord doesn't want us to stay in material existence. It's risky, it's full of suffering. So when the Lord sees his devotees, whether demigods or us, performing mixed devotional service in this way, he's not so satisfied. Pure devotees are not desirous of any material enjoyment, nor are they averse to it. We might wonder what it is they're not averse to it, but that will be explained. They completely dovetail their desires with the desires of the Lord and perform nothing on their personal account. Arjuna is a good example. On his own sentiment, due to family affection, Arjuna did not want to fight. He said that, why should I want to win a kingdom? What will be enjoyable there? So he was averse to the enjoyment due to family affection. But finally, after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, he agreed to fight in the interests of the Lord. Therefore, the Lord is very much satisfied with pure devotees because they do not act for sense gratification, but only in terms of the Lord's desire. As Paramatma, or Super Soul, he is situated in everyone's heart, always giving everyone the chance of good counsel. Thus, everyone should take the opportunity and render transcendental loving service to him, wholly and solely. Sarvasya chaham hridi sandavishno, Ishra sarvabhutana vriddhe sirjan tishtati. Krishna is situated as the well-wishing friend within the heart of everyone. So everyone should surrender to Krishna. The non-devotees, however, are neither like the demigods nor like the pure devotees, but are averse to the transcendental relationship with the Lord. They have revolted against the Lord and must perpetually undergo the reactions of their own activities. All the advantages are there of devotional service, but the devotees, non-devotees don't want to do it. The Lord is there within their hearts, but they vimukha cetasa, turn their faces away from the Lord, indriyartha, for the sake of sense gratification. So that's the eternal misuse of free choice. Bhagavad Gita states, Yeyatamam prapadyante Tam stataiva bhajamyaham. Although the Lord is equally kind to every living being, living beings, for their own part, are able to please the Lord to either a greater or lesser extent. The demigods are called sahakama devotees, or devotees with material desires in mind, while the pure devotees are called nishkama devotees, because they have no desires for their personal interests. The sakama devotees are self-interested because they do not think of others, and therefore they are not able to satisfy the Lord perfectly, whereas the pure devotees take the missionary responsibility of turning non-devotees into devotees, and they are therefore able to satisfy the Lord more than the demigods. In the verse we had, I really should use two devices for this. Sarva Bhuta Daya. The devotees try to satisfy the Lord by extending mercy to all living beings. The Lord is unmindful of the non-devotees, although he's sitting within everyone's heart as well-wisher and super soul. However, he also gives them the chance to receive his mercy through his pure devotees who are engaged in missionary activities. Sometimes the Lord himself descends for missionary activities, as he did in the form of Lord Chaitanya, but mostly he sends his bona fide representatives, and thus he shows his causeless mercy toward the non-devotees. The Lord is so satisfied with his pure devotees that he wants to give them the credit for missionary success, although he could do the work personally. This is the sign of his satisfaction with his pure nishkama devotees compared to the sakama devotees. By such transcendental activities, the Lord simultaneously becomes free from the charge of partiality and exhibits his pleasure with the devotees. The Lord is merciful, but how is he merciful? Here we learn that he's, toward the non-devotees, he's rather indifferent. He doesn't give them much attention, but he gives them attention through the devotees. The devotees are the mercy representatives of the Lord. So when they're giving mercy, Krishna is giving mercy, but Krishna prefers to do it that way. With the intimate, pure devotees, he reciprocates more because he's so satisfied. And with the non-devotees, he reciprocates indirectly through the devotees. So he simultaneously keeps a little distance from the non-devotees and gives them mercy and glorifies those who are engaged in pure devotional service. Yes, Rajesh.
I was reading just yesterday, I just pulled it up now in Bhagavatam at the very beginning of the second part. There's a verse that says, "But even the devotees of the personality of Godhead who still have material desires can enjoy the pleasures they wish and then become fully purified and go to the Lord's abode." And at the end of the purport, Sanatana Goswami or Gopi Prabhu was discussing the Sakama Bhaktas who find happiness in this world. And Srila Sanatana Goswami uses the word bhunjanaha, enjoying, in a form of the present tense, to indicate that even while Vaishnavas are finishing up their last enjoyment of the material world, the power of the Lord's devotional service purifies them enough to demolish all obstacles in their heart. Their material business finished, they then achieve the Supreme Lord's eternal abode. And it really doesn't sound like the same teetering position that Prabhupada is mentioning in the first paragraph. At the end of the first paragraph of today's purport, Prabhupada, it sounds like he's saying, oh, there's every chance of, going degrading oneself. And this one seems more like a words of hope and
Yeah, a little more encouraging.
yeah.
But so these are two different ways of looking at it. One is, well, they still have some material desires, but it's all being wrapped up. And the other is that there's still some danger here and they're delaying. Just like I'm getting over a cold. One way of looking at it is that practically the cold is finished with just a little bit left. And if I take some, even if I'm not so careful, it'll be gone.
Mm.
And the other way of looking at it is that, it may be on its way out, but it can come back at any moment.
Mm.
And if you're inattentive, if you're not careful about it, you could be in the soup.
Mm.
So it depends how you want to look at it. Prabhupada's giving us a very cautious perspective. Also, from another point of view, the longer we take to wrap up these material desires, the longer we have to stay in this place. Anityam asukam loka. We read in Bhagavatam how Gopkumar visits all these regions, and then on the way out visits them again very briefly. That recaps sort of the account found in the fourth canto, fifth canto. But from one point of view, it's glorious. The devotee, even if he wants to see the heavenly planets, he can see them on the way out and just keep going. From another point of view, he still has to stay around because he still wants to see the heavenly planets. He could be out by now. Well, let me see the heavenly planets. So either way, he's glorified because he's just seeing them on the way out. But still more glorious is what is there to see? Is that all right?
That's fantastic. And the thought also crossed my mind in your discussion of the Lord's mercy, going through the devotees preaching, that if the more nishkama you are, then the more you're acting as the Lord's mercy representative
And also,
preaching. Otherwise, you're kind of
that also, we'd rather be empowered servants of the Lord than have some power given to us for sense enjoyment.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with that? And to whose benefit is it? No one else's, and not even ours. Tulsi Priya.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. Please accept my obeisances. I was also thinking of following up on what Radhesha Prabhu has said. I was thinking that there's material happiness that, like in the Gita, comes of its own accord, yadvicha lava santushto, and then there's material happiness that you pursue. You develop a desire and you keep going after it, which is an offense against the holy name to maintain material attachments. So I think, if material happiness comes on its own, we don't have to be false about it. Oh, no, I can't do it. It's like you take it as Krishna's mercy and you enjoy it and then you let it go. Whereas if you keep striving and striving, then naturally your consciousness is going to take you down, because that's what you want. But if you're just simply accepting something as Krishna's blessing, where's the harm, as long as you don't keep trying to pursue it.
About Maharaj Yudhisthira, it said he didn't really enjoy the kingdom.
Mhm.
He just took it because, well, that's what he's supposed to do.
Mhm.
So he wasn't averse to it. He accepted. Yes, can you approve?
Oh, thank you, Maharaj. Rabindra Swarup Prabhu takes this point and turned it into something of a sutra. Like, it's one thing to just have material desires, but it's another thing to have non-negotiable material desires. And I thought it also curious that when you started reading the purport, I still had to turn up my volume a little bit, because when you said the word hankerings, I heard anchors, and that's exactly what they are. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Non-negotiable material desires. I'm unwilling to let go of my material desires to serve Krishna. Everything else is yours, but this is mine. One thing to have material desires, and another thing to have non-negotiable material desires. Thank you for that. Now, a question arises. If the Lord is sitting in the hearts of non-devotees, why are they not moved to become devotees? It may be answered that the stubborn non-devotees are like the barren land or alkaline field, where no agricultural activities can be successful. As part and parcel of the Lord, every individual living entity has a minute quantity of independence. And by misuse of this minute independence, the non-devotees commit offense after offense to both the Lord and his pure devotees engaged in missionary work. As a result of such acts, they become as barren as an alkaline field where there's no strength to produce. In the earlier purport, we read about this. The prophet said, just stubbornness of the living beings, just stubbornness. They just don't want to. They just don't want to serve Krishna. They're stubborn. And they can be slapped by the material energy and slapped and slapped. Still, no, it's all right. I can still enjoy. Stubborn obstinacy. And that stubborn obstinacy, the Prabhupada mentioned this also, I think, in the same purport. It has to do with their impious activities. Why am I obstinate? Because I commit offenses to the Lord, I commit offenses to devotees, I engage in sinful activities, and that increases my obstinacy. So you have this pathology of stubbornness and sinful activities. Yes, Swami, Jyotipa.
Just occurred in my mind, the story about Mahabharata, where Duryodhana was very happy that, okay, they're going to give a little part to. Duryodhana was very happy that we are giving them some barren land, they're not going to grow anything.
Yeah.
But then, of course, because of Krishna, Indraprastha is more. They were developed into a better place than even Hastinapura.
Yeah.
Because of the presence of Krishna.
Duryodhana thought he was very clever, gave the Pandavas Indraprastha, which was barren, useless land, and by the mercy of Krishna, it became opulent. So that also could happen, that someone is a non-devotee, he's stubborn, he's sinful, but by the mercy of the devotee, he can become a devotee. Thank you. Anything else here? Okay. There's one other thing. Let me look at this.
Oh, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Just want you to know you're frozen for us at the moment.
Oh,
You're back.
are we okay?
Now you're okay. And Saraswati actually had something in the chat.
Okay. I'm not sure what it means for pure devotees to not be averse to material happiness, but only they can afford to do this, because nothing can drag them down. But for struggling devotees, I see that one minute you feel like you made some minuscule progress in bhakti, and next second you're facing those addictive sense gratifications you thought you had conquered a long time ago. This can be so defeating. Well, there's, again, two ways of looking at that. On the one side, we look at it and say, I'm still addicted to this, I'm still addicted to that. I'm still want to enjoy this, I still want to enjoy that. And so we become a little discouraged. And on the other side, all right, this is what Krishna sent, so I just enjoy it and carry on. It's like incidental. It's incidental. It's not why we're here, for enjoyment. But if Krishna sends some enjoyment, all right, we accept that and carry on. Hari Parshad Prabhu was talking about this in class I was listening to in relationship to prasadam. And devotee was saying something to the effect of, having to be cautious about how much prasadam we take, and how do we know when it's sense gratification, and how do we know when it's not. And Hari Parshad Prabhu was saying, in essence, don't worry about it. It's prasadam. Krishna sent you this prasadam, so take it, accept it, be happy. After all, devotees, Prabhupada wrote this in a letter, he said, after all, the devotees have given up everything else, so let them have nice prasadam. So we're not averse. If Krishna sends some nice prasadam, oh no, I can't take nice prasadam. We can be a little, of course, the same thing. We don't want to be just always after the sweets and chasing down the pujaris and doing anything to get something tasty. But when Krishna sends Yadricha Labha Santushta, when Krishna of his own accord sends some nice Mahaprasadam, Shayanamrita Radha Krishna. All right, Krishna sent nice prasadam, so let's accept the prasadam, be fully satisfied, and chant Hare Krishna. So this is sometimes expressed in contemporary language as we don't have to beat ourselves up. We should be, on the one side, careful about being deviated from the path of pure devotional service. And yet, on the other side, all right, Krishna gave me this or that. Just like sometimes we see they're advanced devotees and they're given quite comfortable facilities. They're given a nice house, or they're given good vehicles, or they're given whatever it may be. And so they use these things. They use the nice house, or they accept whatever the comfort might be. But they're not attached. They're not attached. They're not thinking, this is my business in life. But Krishna sent this level of facility. All right, let me accept it. Just why? it helps me do my business, where I can use this in service. Just like a government officer is given a nice bungalow and some assistance and all of that. So it's not for sense enjoyment, but it's for executing his work nicely. If he has a nice quiet bungalow, if he has a staff, then he can be more productive. He can accomplish things that need to be done. So somebody might look at it, a poor villager looks at it and says he's living like a king. But if you go and see what he's doing, he's always busy doing the government work. And the facility is just that. It's just something that helps get the work done. So that's a thought. And we have, there's quite a lot happening in the chat box here. Hold on 1 second. Murari Gupta says, what is the root cause of impiety and how is it avoided in the conditioned state? The root cause of impiety is unwillingness to serve Krishna. Manadi Bahir Mukji Bhagavan Shakari. The desire to be independent of Krishna and enjoy on our own. That's the cause of impiety. And how do we avoid it? By devotional service. By positively engaging in Krishna's service, we avoid Maya. If we just try to avoid every kind of Maya, that will be difficult. But if we engage positively in Krishna's service, then Maya falls to the side. Rabin says, there's one story I heard from the devotees. Narad asked Narayan, why no one wants to come to Vaikuntha? I'm not stopping them. Can I bring someone? Yes, you may. Narada goes to a distressed devotee and says, follow me, I will take you to Vaikuntha. When Narada comes to Vaikuntha, he looks back to find the devotee who was not there. Narayan says he jumped into one of the heavenly planets. Yeah. We're not so keen to go. Tulsi Priya quotes Giriraj Swami from Prabhupada Nectar, Satsuru Marsh. Spreading Krishna consciousness in India often meant that Prabhupada went with his disciples to honor prasadam at people's homes. Thus, eating became a form of service to Krishna. When Giriraj Swami first arrived in India, he was used to strict training as a brahmachari, and his personal habit was to be particularly reserved about accepting any sweets. On one occasion, however, Prabhupada saw that his disciples' austerity was causing discomfort to their host. The father of the man who had invited Prabhupada to eat had repeatedly tried to give Giriraj Swami a second rasgulla, but Giriraj Swami kept refusing. Since Giriraj Swami was sitting quite close to Prabhupada, he did not want Prabhupada to think he was a sense enjoyer, or so for that reason also, he staunchly refused to accept the rasgulla from the elderly father of the host. Finally, when the man came around again to coax Giriraj Swami, Srila Prabhupada glanced lovingly at Giriraj Swami and said, "You can take a sweet to make an old man happy." Giriraj Swami accepted another sweet. Sweet pastime. Thank you. And very instructive. Saraswati says, I was asked how pure devotees could really understand the plights of conditional souls, because they were never, ever attached to sense gratification. For example, a recovered alcoholic can best help another alcoholic because they experienced the difficulty firsthand to recover. Well, the first thing is we don't have that problem. But pure devotees, we understand there are those who are nitya mukta, eternally liberated, and those who are trying to become liberated or who become liberated by sadhana or good fortune. So we don't have to worry about being in the nitya mukta platform and never having had the experience of conditioned life. We have that. The Atmopam Yena Sarvatra Samam Pashyati Arjuna Sukhambhaya Niva Dukkham Sayogi Panamamata. In the 6th chapter, after describing the yoga system, Krishna says this is the best yogi, the one who sees all others in relationship to his, by comparison to his own self. Atma Padmyena Sarvatra. Atmavat Sarvabhuteshu. He sees their suffering and he references it. I was suffering like this also. So he's compassionate to them because he knows what they're going through. Even if they're enjoying, he knows I was a fool like that. I thought I was enjoying. And when they're suffering, I was suffering like that. So we at least have that reference, and therefore we can have that some feeling, some empathy for the conditioned souls or other conditioned souls. And the pure devotees, even though they may not have pure devotees, the nitya mukta devotees, even though they've had no experience of material existence, still they can sympathize. The doctor may never have broken his leg, but he's dealt with enough patients who've broken them to know that it's painful, to know that recovery can be trying. Broken legs are sort of small, but they're, we can think of some more systemic disease. So the doctor may never have had it, but he sees what the patient goes through, and naturally he feels that I wouldn't want to go through that. And he wants to help them. Rabin says, Jata Shraddho Matkatasu Nirvinna. Jata Shraddho Matkatasu Nirvinna. Sarvakameshu Veda Dukatmakan. Kaman Parityage Pyamnishvaratato Bhajeta Mam Prita Shraddhatur Shritta Nishchayaha Chushamanas Cha Tan Kaman Dukho Darkams Chagarayan. Having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with great faith and conviction. Even though he's sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents such activities. Is that 11th canto?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else here? Well, let's see. We can perhaps begin this next verse. Samato vipita karma bir advaradyar dhanena chogra tapasa paricharya yacha aradhanam bhagavatas tavasat priyarto dharmor pita karyachit mriyate yatra. But the pious activities of the people, such as performance of Vedic rituals, charity, austere penances, and transcendental service, performed with a view to worship you and satisfy you by offering you the fruit of results, are also beneficial. Such acts of religion never go in vain. We might have expected to hear these activities condemned, austerities and charity and Vedic rituals, but karma kanda, pious activities. But when they're done to satisfy the Lord, although nati prasitati, we heard earlier, he's not so satisfied. But here, there's a benefit. Absolute devotional service conducted in 9 different spiritual activities: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshiping, praying, etc., does not always appeal to people with a pompous nature. Here, pompous is definitely being used. They're more attracted by the Vedic superficial rituals and other costly performances of social religious shows, rather than do some simple, pure devotional service that doesn't cost anything. They'd rather spend $1.5 lakh on a big showy yajna. But the process, according to the Vedic injunctions, is that the fruits of all pious activities should be offered to the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 9:27, the Lord demands that whatever one may do in one's daily activities, such as worship, sacrifice, and offering charity, all the results should be offered to him only. This offering of the results of pious acts unto the Supreme Lord is a sign of devotional service to the Lord and is of permanent value, whereas enjoying the same results for oneself is only temporary. Anything done on account of the Lord is a permanent asset and accumulates in the form of unseen piety for gradual promotion to the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord. These undetected pious activities will one day result in full-fledged devotional service by the grace of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, any pious act done on account of the Supreme Lord is also recommended here for those who are not pure devotees. Even if you're not able to follow all the regulative principles, then do something for me. Mad karma paramobhava. Yarartam apikarmani akurvan siddhim avapshasi. And you'll attain perfection. It's not as good as following the regulative principles strictly and engaging in hearing and chanting and devotional activities. But if you're either performing your fruitive activities for the sake of Krishna or offering these things to Krishna, then you're going to get benefit. And when the distinction is made that if you do these things for Krishna, still there's some attachment, there'll be more benefit. if you're thinking, let me do these things and enjoy and offer to Krishna, then less benefit. If bhakti is more prominent, more credit. If bhakti is less prominent, then less credit. But either way, bhakti is so strong that by the power of devotional service, that little bit starts adding up. We hear about bhakti sukriti. What is that? This is the bhakti sukriti. He did something and offered it to Krishna. Or even one step down, we hear later that sarva karma palatyaga atatakru yatatmavan. If you can't even do that, then just give for some pious cause with detachment. Even that has some benefit. Otherwise, Krishna wouldn't have recommended. Even the person who says, all right, let me give to charity with detachment, he benefits. But more the person who thinks, let me do this for Krishna. And more the person who follows the regulative principles and takes up the practices of bhakti. What is meant here by unseen or undetected pious activities, Panchatat fasts? Is it that the performer himself is not aware of the benefit? That's possible. He's doing it as a matter of family tradition or some kind of training, or maybe even community expectations, or one reason or another. He's connected with Krishna, and he certainly may not be aware of how much benefit he's getting. He thinks, this is what I do. That I'm home. He offers something, chants a mantra, and puts the thing before the picture of the deity, because that's his training, and he doesn't see how much benefit has been added to his account. He doesn't see it. And others certainly may not see it. They're not aware that he's doing it, or they're aware, but they think, he's got some sort of, religious thing that he does. He doesn't eat until he does his little ritual. They think it's weird, or just, they don't really, can't relate to it. So they certainly don't understand. They think that it's just an empty religious gesture. What's the difference if you, stick it before the picture, or you just chop it down? They don't see a difference because they're uneducated or unwilling to see. But Krishna sees. Oh, he's offered it to me. And I said, please offer me this. He's doing it. And Krishna becomes pleased, and the person, although he himself may not see how the credit is building up, it's building up. And it results in the greatest good fortune that one day he'll become a pure devotee. All right, our time has come. And, let's see. Saraswati says, failing in practically everything, I was overwhelmed when my father said that I was taking very good care of him so that he can peacefully conduct bhakti. I couldn't believe I got a pass in something. And Murai Gupta says, some passages indicate that Krishna wants all living entities to return to him, and others that Krishna is detached. And if a person wants to be sinful, Krishna gives all facility, knowing how far away it will take them from him. Could you comment? Yeah, both views are there. On the one side, Krishna's keen to see living entities return. On the other side, if they're stubborn and determined, what can be done? Even Krishna, Tanham Drishakar Kruran, sons of Suresh and Radhamani. Again and again, I throw them into the demonic species of life because that's what they want. And again, we find that through the pure devotees, he extends mercy. The hunter certainly would have gone through hellish life, killing animals. But Krishna extended his mercy through Narada, and the hunter became a pure devotee. So the devotees, Krishna is merciful, even when he's not merciful. Krishna shows himself to be uninterested, not very much inclined to extend mercy. This rascal, let him go to hell. But through his devotees, he extends mercy. He wants the devotee to get the credit. And it's his nature to be merciful. So he does it that way. And I won't be merciful, but my devotee will be merciful. All right, kirtan.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramansa Paripradrakacharya Ashto Shri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Raj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Jayādvaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopidat. Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai. Navadip Tham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande. Krishna, Krishna, Hari, Hari. Meena, welcome. Hare Krishna, nice to see you.
Haribol, Haribol.
And Haridas, and Panchatattva and Yogananda. And Jagir Shara. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Marge.
Hari, Hari.
Hari, Hari.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And Lakshmana, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Kante.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jayādvaita Maharaj ki jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande.
Haribol.
Very bold.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.